My colleague directors, Shri D.K. Mohanty ji, Director Commercial, Shri Pandey ji, Director Personal and Director Finance, Shri Atar Mohammad Hanif ji, Commandant CISF, all my Chief General Managers, the heads of the department, senior executives, representatives of our Steel Executive Association, members of our beloved trade unions, representatives of SC, ST and OBC associations, representative from WIPs, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you. Andarki Nutana Samavatsara Shubhakankshalu. I think we are all very happy to usher in the new year, and on behalf of RINL, I wish you and your family members a very happy, safe, prosperous and productive New Year 2024. As you are aware, RINL has entered into another year of its operations with renewed expectations and renewed objectives. And we have decided to take, possibly in the history of the steel industry, the biggest leap forward. From a situation where survival was difficult, we are leaping forward, and with the plans that we have in the next 3 months, to come to a cash surplus regime. So I think let us give a big round of applause to all of us for having the faith and in a determined manner, moving forward. And what we have accomplished today is no mean task. Today, we are having a situation where we are looking at stepping up our coke oven pushings to 330, 340 levels and maybe even beyond. I don't think few months back we could have ever imagined that we could have done it. Today we have already started the third blast furnace. We are looking at stepping up the production because we have seen, what is actually the reason why RINL has been struggling? There is only one reason. If you look at the period when RINL had made a profit, except for 1 year, RINL has made a profit only during the period when its production was more than the installed capacity. You go through all our balance sheets, except for 21-22, where, which was a very unusual year in terms of, the prices that we were getting from the market. If you take out that year, the only years when RINL has made a profit is 2002 to 2013. And that was the time, if you see, we were producing about 3.6 million tons, and the capacity was 3 million tons. So one thing is very clear. If you don't produce to your rated capacity, you will never make a profit. You will struggle to survive. So that is why we started planning that how we could go to the rated capacity. What are the constraints? And how we can overcome those constraints. And this plan, this turnaround plan, was discussed at various levels. And we got the support from the Ministry of Steel, and we are very grateful to the Honorable Steel Minister and the Ministry of Steel for having given their full support to the turnaround plan that we are having at the moment. So let us give the big thank you to the Ministry of Steel and the Honorable Steel Minister for having given so much of support. Now, what is essentially the plan? I think this is a time where I would like to share with you what was missing, what we have done, and what the way forward will be, and what gives us that we will definitely make a profit. If you really see, there were some bottlenecks which the company was having in achieving 7.5 million tons. Now, what were the bottlenecks? One was our coke making capacity. And I remember the year when I had joined, we were at 400. We were doing a lot of pushing, but the survival of the coke ovens was always a question. We were always getting the feedback that this particular chamber has gone down. It was always a struggle, and the number of working ovens, I think, it had gone down to 270. So it was very, very, very important to strengthen that area, which is the coke oven area. And today we can be very proud of the fact that we have got ovens which are working. Even though we are having more than 30-year-old batteries, and they say that the life of coke oven is 30 years. So one was we addressed that, and we also thought that okay, if there is any gap, still there is a gap in achieving. So we will purchase this from the market and fill up the gap for the coke. The other was, of course, very, very important gap was there, which was oxygen. Our oxygen plant, which was supposed to come out, 1700 TPD oxygen plant, it was under litigation. We were actually struggling. We had no money. And only the first tranche had been paid, and there was another tranche of 300 crores. All had to be paid. And further, there is a phase 2 to be negotiated. Now, there also we started working. We started working with Air Liquide, and we convinced them that please come and commission the plant. We assure you that we will move forward on the arbitration. And today we can be really proud that although there was so much of doubt and uncertainty that whether this oxygen plant will be commissioned or not, I think let's give big round of applause to our projects department. Today, 1700 TPD of oxygen is available, and that plant is almost fully available. In fact, we don't need that kind of oxygen right now, how much it is producing. So that was one of the big bottlenecks that we had, 7.5. The third bottleneck, of course, was sinter making capacity. Our sinter machines are old. Machine number 2, it had not been ramped up. So one is, of course, we are having a plan how to complete, the machine number 2 ramp up. But what is most important is that we thought, okay, let us fill this gap. Let us purchase pellets from Kudremukh. So the first consignment has arrived. So now the plan is that 7.5, the big bottlenecks that were there, they have been addressed. Most importantly, oxygen, because oxygen is not a commodity that you can purchase from the market. Now you come to the more bigger issue. Bigger issue is working capital. How do you organize working capital? Today, I'll just share with you that we have our working capital loan of a sanctioned limit of about 14,000 crores from the bank. Although because of certain reasons, the actual working capital available is much less. It's only about 7,000, 6,000 crores or even less than that. Now the bankers who had given you these 14,000 crores, they have something called drawing limits. Now because sufficient working capital is not sufficient, raw material is not available against that, they had put a limitation on how much working capital we could draw. And instead of, we wanted more working capital, I went and met the CMDs of all banks, CMD of State Bank of India, CMD of Union Bank of India, Chairman of Canara Bank. Personally went and persuaded them, sir, please help us. They said your credit rating is poor. We went to the credit rating agencies. I made presentation to the credit rating agencies, told them that, okay, you have to look at forward situation because our credit rating is BB. The minimum credit rating required for any bank to give loan is BBB. And although we tried a lot, but seeing the huge debt that we are carrying, it was very difficult to, convince the banks for more money. So then, instead of giving up, we said, no, we are going to fight. We have faith in this plant. So we went for this innovative working capital model, wherein we said that, okay, please give us the working capital. Maybe with some of the finished products we'll give you back. And we were able to convince, we took out the tender, and through the process of, selection, we were able to build up a working capital of 1600 crores. And with that money today, we have enough working capital now to, start funding the third blast furnace. So it was a struggle. It was an issue that we were up against all odds. But finally, I think we can be very proud that we have managed innovative ways of getting the money because of the strength of RINL. Because people have confidence in the assets of RINL, people have confidence in the employees of RINL, and the RINL, the trust, the faith, and the ethics that we stand for. That comes to the forefront, and that is how, we have managed the situation up to now. So, I must at this point of time thank each and one of you, because this has been a team spirit. It has been a team spirit which has culminated in us coming into a position where we have started the third blast furnace. Of course, the blast furnace repairs and all those things was carried out, and I must compliment the entire works for this, that all the staves, copper staves which were damaged, they were repaired. All the systems were set right, and also we took a look at, because if you see, we have got 3 blast furnaces, 3,800 cubic meters. We have 6 converters of 150 metric ton each. This combination, how much it can give? The benchmark in the private sector is not 7.5. We could produce 9 million tons of steel. I'm really telling you. And this 7.5 is just the beginning. I'm going to tell you that with the same equipment, with the same blast furnace and same converters, we are going to go further into a higher regime. And once we do that, no one can stop us from coming back into profits. No one can stop us. So I think this is the beginning of a a journey which is going to be very accelerating, where I'm sure that we are going to see a number of records getting broken, a number of new benchmarks getting established, in terms of what is the cost of production, what kind of blending you use, because we have seen that, the only thing which has to change is our, mindset and the way we work. We should be ready to embrace, because see, steel industry today, the technologies are quite standard, The steel, the blast furnace that you have here, it is the exactly same blast furnace that US Steel will be having in their mills in US. So technologies are known, the global best operating practices are well known. And as we move into the next year, I would expect that we start embracing all the leading practices in the world. If the global practice is 200 PCI, then we have to go to 200 PCI. If people have brought down the cost of coking coal by using less of Gunnella coal, we have to do that. If we have to make our if blast furnace gas which is being bled right now, if there is a use which can be found, we have to find a use for that. And we have to totally focus on material efficiency and energy efficiency. This is the thumb rule of running a steel plant. You have to make sure that because it goes through a cycle of heating and cooling. What is steel making? It is a cycle of heating first and then cooling. So what you have to make sure that no energy is wasted in this process. You capture all the energy. You plow back some of the energy back into the system. I would now expect that Nido, for instance, it is not working. We have to put it at work. Entire energy which is coming out has to be utilized and channelized back into the system. Similarly, on the materials aspect as well, there has to be 100% cycling back of all the waste that we have to whatever extent possible. So I'm sure that once this cycle of 7.5 million ton starts, and we start getting the efficiencies, both material efficiencies and energy efficiencies, there is no force in the earth that can stop us from becoming the best steel plant, not just in the country, but at a global level. I have seen from my experience in other companies, I have seen the kind of, attachment which employees have, and I can tell you, nowhere in the world I have such strong attachment which I have seen in RINL. Nowhere in the world. And it is this attachment and this close emotional bond, because RINL is flowing in our blood and veins. And this is the biggest strength of this, this organization. And as it will be my responsibility as your chairman to channelize this passion and this deep attachment that we have for this plant into profits for the organization. Because ultimately, if you are looking at the welfare of all my workers and the stakeholders, it has to come from within the organization. So going forward, we have a plan to increase production. We have a plan to reduce debt. That is also very important. It is not that we increase production and you will come into profits. That will not happen, because we have a 24,000 crore debt. So we have a plan to reduce debt by about 4,000, 5,000 crores. We have a plan to monetize the assets. So all this plan, it is a part of the master turnaround plan. And the biggest component of that plan, what is the biggest component of that plan? 100% alignment of my workers, of my employees, of my unions, of SEA, of SC/ST association, OBC association, management, workers, everyone has to be aligned, totally aligned in one direction, that we have to make this turnaround happen. And I'm telling you, that is the biggest force that will make the turnaround. All these strategies are fine, but till you, I, everybody start thinking and believing in this turnaround plan, there will always be, problems to execute it. So, on the occasion of the new year, I would request to appeal to all of you. Any doubts, misgivings, anything they have, please come, we will explain to you. But let us follow this path. Let us be together, that today we will make it happen. We have seen that this plant, once it achieves 100% capacity utilization, it makes a good profit. You see the period 2002 to 2012, we created 1,300, 1,200, 1,300 crores cash for the company during that period. And during that period, this was known as a company banks used to queue up outside to give loan. And today we have a situation, we are running after the banks. I want the glory days, the glorious period of RINL to come back. And let us make it happen. And I am very confident that we will make it happen. So thank you very much.
Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.